Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Marhar Archaic for 2021. This board features Marhar's hybrid camber, which is flat between the feet, camber underfoot, and then a small micro rocker zone in the tip and the tail. Basically, hybrid camber, so you got your independent camber zones. It's going to be loose, but you're still going to be able to pop with it when you need to. This board is available in 154, 154 wide, 158, 158 wide, and 161. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a mostly bluebird day that had slightly warmer temps to it. There was about an inch of dust on top of crust in there, so you had frozen chunder snow underneath, and then like sticky, wet, fresh snow on top, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. This is your quintessential middle-of-the-road flex all-mountain freestyle snowboard. So you got play out in the tip and the tail, stiffer right underfoot where the camber zones are, and then a decent amount of torsional flex right in the dead center of the board. You're going to feel a moderate amount of chatter out in the tips as it resonates back towards right where your insert pack is, and then it kind of just dissipates from there. It's one of those boards that when you get it into choppy terrain, it's going to bend and flex with everything. It's not really going to plow through it. So if you keep your knees bent, you'll stay on top of it. If you don't, you're probably just going to eat shit, die, and cry. Doesn't really matter. I'm sorry. It sucks. Overall, this thing's stable to a point. It's a little more damp than lively, which is good. You just don't have to really worry too much about all those vibrations resonating back underfoot. There's enough snap and pop in this board to get the job done. It's not mind-blowing. You're not going to be like boosting to the moon with it. It's easy to engage and has almost a skate-like feel to it, so you're not really aggressively loading down in it to get it to rebound. When it comes to jumps, it'll get the job done. I think small to medium features are probably its strong suit. I really wouldn't be going to hit the jumbo line with this thing. I mean, you can if you want to. It's dealer's choice on that, but by and large, this board will pop off of a lip. It does what it needs to do. You can ollie off a roller, ollie off a mogul, ollie over a fat little skier kid that fell in front of you, and it gets the job done. The big thing to note with the 2021 model of this board is that they softened up the tip and the tail a little bit more. So you have an area that you can really press into and really aggressively lock into. With that said, get weird, swivel and sizzle, get sideways, just feel locked in. You're still going to have that responsive snap from underfoot, whether you're on your nose or your tail, just due to that camber zone. And that carries over to how this thing's going to jib. You'll be able to lock it into nose or tail presses and just really feel it hold, and then you'll be able to pop it out. When you get sideways, that flat section doesn't really hug as well as a true camber section would between the feet. So you're going to find that you're going to want it a little more under your back or front foot just to get it to lock in when you're sideways. It's just one of the things with it. With that said, it will slightly cradle around the feature. This board does a decent job of jibbing. It's not mind-blowing, but it does get the job done. What's nice about this board is it transitions smoothly from toe to heel. You'll notice that it rolls in and out from its edges, and when it is on edge, that dual arc edge right underfoot really grips. That's where it kind of just locks in underfoot. The downside of this board is they made the tail and the nose softer, so when you're carving and you go to push off the tail, you don't have as much oomph, and it really doesn't slingshot you in and out of turns. It just sort of folds a little bit more. And if you're one of those riders that really likes to push from the middle of the board off your back foot, that's where you're going to notice that there's a decline in the performance of this board. I'm not saying you can't aggressively carve with this board. You can. It just has some limitations. It's not one of those boards that once you get it over on edge, you can really just center flex the board, drive that power into that rear camber zone, and get it to slingshot off the tail. It's just not as prevalent as it used to be with it. So who's this board for? The all-mountain freestyle rider that wants a hybrid camber, someone that's just going to kind of play around all over the mountain and doesn't want full traditional camber. Comparable boards: the LibTech Terrain Wrecker, the Arbor Coda, the Rosinal 1LF. So I'm not sure softening this board up was in its best interest. Before, you had a board that was a solid all-mountain freestyle board, and now as it's gotten softer, it just feels more like a freestyle board that you could kind of go do the whole mountain on. If you're riding a smaller resort, smaller ski hill, stuff like that, probably won't even be that much of a difference for you. But if you're one of those guys that's going out to bigger mountains and using it for everything, I think that's where you'd really notice it. And that was kind of the letdown, because the previous version, in my opinion, was way more dialed. I'm not saying this isn't dialed, just felt way more dialed. Like, it was more of a board that you could grab and go ride the whole mountain. Whereas this one, I'd be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go ride park with this one, and oh, the park is spread out around the mountain. I'm gonna go from this park over to the half pipe and then down to the gym park. Yeah, okay, this will get the job done. You know, if I'm party boarding with the boys or I'm just swiveling and sizzling while I'm buttering, yeah, it's gonna do it. But if I wanted to go charge a little bit, it's just kind of lacking a little bit in that department. This has been my review of the Marhar Archaic. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we have coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really want to support us and just help us grow out what we're doing over here, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.